What is it?
A little camera.
Oh, is it Flip is the brand?
Just whatever you do, be careful with the table.
So is this video or is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel cooking? How is your audience different here than Allen and Delancey?
I think the main difference is that a lot of the is a captive audience and it's a membership, so we get a lot of repeat custom. And whereas at Allen and Delancey, maybe people would go there once, or and it might be weeks before they came back. I think the difference here is that people will eat potentially 4 or 5 times a week. So they might only go to the restaurant here once, but they might eat on the roof terrace or in the bar or the drawing room 3 or 4 times a week. So that means you've got to be really aware of, well, let's say the basics, but your Cobb salads, your Caesar salads, your more standard sort of fare, your sort of basic day-to-day eating stuff that people are going to eat every day. You've got to be very, very aware of the quality of what you're doing there, whereas you still focus on what's happening in the restaurant, but that can't be your only focus, where like it would be in a standalone restaurant like Allen and Delancey. So that's been challenging. When I came here, I really did concentrate on the restaurant, and it was hard to let go of that. There's still a lot of persuasion. I'm sort of starting to, I think, successfully move our focus to, the basics. That's the big difference.
So, would you describe the menu as less ambitious, maybe? Or
I think there's a certain amount of safeties that it has to be. I think on the restaurant menu at night time, I think tastes here are a little bit more simple. I think it's a cliche, but again, the economy has affected a little bit what you can do as well. So I'm very conscious of that. But I think certainly, the house menu or the roof menu is, as we call it, is there's just like comfort food, go-to dishes that people know and are familiar with. And fail-safes, basically, they can trust those dishes. The restaurant menu, we have to keep it fair. I've got a different sort of team here as well, a much bigger team, a lot of quite young, inexperienced cooks. So that becomes a little bit of a factor in writing the menu as well. So I can't necessarily.
But do you miss being able to play around more?
I think there's. I do. I think it's natural as a chef to want to go crazy and do things that aren't necessarily conventional. But there'll be time for that further down the road, and I'm always, my mind's still very active about those sort of things.
Right.
And we can, and no one has ever said that you can't do anything here. I'm just very conscious of feeling, I've been here 6 months and I've sort of felt out the members a little bit in terms of what they do and don't like. From a business point of view, there'd be no point in putting on, caramelised bone marrow.
That's actually the one dish that I was going to ask about. Because
if I'm, I mean, it's permanently blueprinted on my brain. The flavour and what was involved in that dish. I was very proud of it. So.
You don't think that the members here would be that much into it, or you just?
I think maybe it's a special, one night only sort of thing. They would probably go for it, and if you got the right members in, it's fine. It's very expensive, and it's very labour intensive, very expensive, and it's not the most, up against a beef carpaccio or a light salad. That's not our clientele. So Lower East Side, you can get away with that.
And why the Soho House? Why did you come here?
I think, it was a good. I wanted to go to a place where I had some sort of stability and security from a personal point of view, and I didn't feel I got that at my previous employment. I loved what I did there from a food perspective, as I do now, and it's a very different sort of operation here. And food-wise, again, here I get pretty much carte blanche. although I've just said, yeah, there are a certain amount of safeties I go to
Yeah.
within that those dishes. I can still my food, I still get a lot of 100% say in, you know, what we do with it. And, you know, as a collaboration, I work with the front of house team probably a lot more than I did with at the last place. Yeah, it's just a different operation, you know. It's a good challenge for me. You know, I'm pushing myself and doing things that I've never had to do in other operations before. You know, I'm very good at doing little standalone restaurants, 60, 70 seaters. That's my thing. Whereas here I'm being really challenged every day to, you know, be on top of a lot more areas and assets sort of thing. So.
Like you're in charge of everything that's served up here.
We have 3 kitchens, 3 restaurants effectively. Right.
What's the third one?
Well, we have drawing room and the bar. We have the restaurant.
Oh, the bar serves food too.
Yeah. And then we have the roof.
Okay.
And then outside that, we have party rooms, function rooms as well. So we have like
the catering more.
Right.
And there's room service too, right?
And room service as well.
And room service also.
So it's quite a challenge compared to a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it.
But when you came to New York, there was also room service, no?
Right, at the London.
Yeah. And how's your relationship today with Gordon?
I've seen Gordon once since I left the London. That was 3 or 4 months after I left. And we had a 15-20 minute conversation, but I've not seen him since. I've been in touch with him since. I mean, he's a busy man. I've been busy doing my thing, and
yeah,
you know, I mean, I have the utmost respect for him, and you know, wish him every success in everything he does. You know, I've got a lot of dear friends still within the organisation. Yeah, I mean, if our paths cross, there'll be no animosity or anything like that. You know, it'll be always very respectful, and yeah, he did a lot for me, so I'm very conscious of that.
And my last question is, what does a Michelin star do to the business?
I wasn't there long enough to see. It should.
Yeah.
I mean, it should do well. I mean, I think in New York, it's still, I think within the industry, amongst chefs, you know, it's a huge feather in your cap. You know, and obviously coming from Europe, I'm very, very flattered and aware of, you know, how much impact and how much weight that carries. I think New York is still very much, you know, centered around the New York Times. That's the be all and end all. And I think rightly so. It's the recognised system or grading system. But I think maybe a restaurant that's maybe gone off the radar and then, you know, but it's ticking along nicely to suddenly get a Michelin star, you know, I think it just adds energy and, you know, gets the awareness out there again of, oh wow, so and so just got a star, I didn't know that was going to happen, what's going on there that's so good. So I think when you have such a big eating out public in New York, it just sort of like pricks up their ears and makes them, you know, look at you again. So
pay more attention.
Yeah.
How much time elapsed between when a star was awarded and your departure from?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I think we got the star in October, and I left at the end of October, about 3-4 weeks later. You know, and for me that was a massive message because I was so. I wasn't expecting the star to get it. It was just I was, you know, gobsmacked, amazed, and very flattered, like I said. And all I've ever worked in is Michelin-starred restaurants. So for me to walk away from that, you know, suddenly sent a message that there was something seriously wrong with behind the scenes. For me to walk away from that, you know,
right,
was a big one. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, some things are more important in life. Like, you know, happiness, how you feel. You know.
But you're gonna stay in New York, you think?
Absolutely. I've bought a house here, and I love
in the city?
Upstate.
Yeah.
About an hour upstate, and then.
Okay, so you're staying around for a while.
Absolutely. I'll watch this space.
Great. So thank you.
No, not at all. You're welcome.